Hello everyone. Since I am stuck with this terribly annoying debuff, I thought I could take the chance to go over my specs since it's one of the questions that I've seen the most in the comments of my YouTube videos. Specifically, I will go over my setup as BM. I believe this spec is the best if you are undergeared. If you are not very experienced playing Hunter and soloing stuff with Hunter, and also, if you are only really using one other spec, so we'll do a spec, you have one free to have this BM spec. The best things about this BM spec is that it makes your pet a great tank with huge amount of HP and dealing. It allows you to have movement speed, so for farming, it's quite good. And also, it's generally extremely flexible. It gives you Spirit Bond, which allows you to heal yourself for some mechanics. It gives you range. So overall, it's the spec. It's my default spec that I've been using when I'm learning new fights, and because I know it's the safest one. Then if I feel like there is margin for quicker kills, I might switch. For specific fights. So without further ado, let's maybe start with the, on the setup section. Let's start with the gear. Then I will go over, I guess, the pet, the spec, and the glyphs. So regarding the gear, the most important pieces that you need are two tier 5 pieces, two Riftstalker pieces. If you have the choice, you should go for the gauntlets and for the shoulders, because these pieces are the one that contribute the least to your DPS. So, overall, you lose less. Of course, in percentage, you lose the same from a piece perspective, but you lose less just because the stats on these slots are smaller. So I have engineering and jewel crafting, so I've enchanted my gloves with the ace buff, and for the shoulders I have the best enchant. I have shitty gems. I'm using agility here. You could consider enchanting with the stamina and attack power. And then other pieces that I have in this specific gear set are the titanium impact band, which I have recycled using a stamina gem, and great ring, sorry, of collision, which I've put a stamina gem as well. Um, Finally, I have the stuff from Aegon 10 Man, which gives a huge amount of stamina, greatness, and I'm actually using Lotheb Shadow for this because the fact that it's an on-use effect allows me to pop it whenever I want. Mirror of Truth doesn't pop when you want it to. Grim Toll gives it rating and armor penetration, which are not really stats that you want to go for when soloing gold content. Armor penetration is great unless you hit the cap, and then it's useless. And yeah, this is my gear. I've enchanted stamina because, as you will see, like many of your pet's abilities are based on stamina. So that's the safest bet for sure. You might not get fast kills, but when you're learning, you want to be safe. You don't want to wipe and waste a huge amount of time like I'm doing now with this fucking Mark of Nature. So moving on to pets. In order to solo stuff, I have a croc. The croc is amazing for one specific reason, and that is bad attitude. Bad attitude is an ability which basically reflects damage every time someone strikes the croc for 45 seconds. And it's amazing because you will be gated mostly by AoE aggro for the hardest boss. So if you're doing Molten Core for Golemag and for Gar, the amount of aggro that your pet gets on AoE targets is the limit to the damage that you can do, and that is the limit to the healing that you can do through your tier 5 bonus. So by using a croc, you ensure that you can volley, and you basically use volley as a healing for your pet, while of course killing the AoE targets. The amazing thing that Bad Attitude does is that, as since it's a special pet special ability, it scales with kill command. So, for example, on Gar, if you see my video, you will see me disabling Thunderstomp and Bite so that I can keep 3 charges of kill command for almost the whole duration of bad attitude. When bad attitude is about to fade, you can pop back in thunderstorm so that you can get it at 3 stacks. Actually, sorry, when kill command is about to fade, you can pop in thunderstorm, maybe even twice, so that you get full use of your kill command before you refresh it. The other pet that I have is a turtle. The turtle is amazing for its resilience. So my turtle specifically, let me see if I can show it. Yes, my turtle is spec'd for single target and basically resistance. So it has all the defensive abilities. It doesn't have silverback because I'm using it for dragons, but you can put silverback as well. Since I'm using it for dragons, I have great resistance. So damage resistance, if you're not going for World War Dragons, you can just put 2 points on silverback and the third point of pet barding. Sorry about that. Um, the turtle is amazing because of shell shield. So every 42 seconds, it reduced damage taken by 50% for 12 seconds. This is really amazing for any single target boss. But as I mentioned, I mostly use my croc, which I respect with a damage build. So it has stuffs like Spite Collar, Last Stand, Wild Hunt, Thunderstomp, which I don't have on my turtle. So I've tried to maximize this croc for the damage of Bad Attitude. Moving on to my own talents. This is a BM build, but let's start from the easy ones. So on survival, I have 3 out of 3 okay, which increases your range by 6 yards. And this is amazing for all content because it allows you to basically outrange most of the ride wide mechanics. So, ride wide shadow bolts, the ignite mana from Baron Geddon. These are all things that you can just completely outrange because I didn't code them, especially in Molten Core to be, 100 yard range or whatever. They just encoded them to be, I think, 40. So this allows you to just outrange most of that stuff. If you don't have Okai, you can still do Baron Geddon, but you need to be conscious of the timer for Ignite Mana, and you might need to just use Volley and have your pet handle it. Okai is just great for pulling, it's great for outranging, it gives you maneuverability. I really strongly recommend it. On marksmanship, the most important talent that you need to take is Lethal Shots because it increases your critical strike chance. The other 6 points are just good to have, since you have locked them, they are great for damage. So Careful Aim gives you range attack power equal to 100% of your total intellect, and then just more damage on critical strikes. But again, Lethal Shot, your own crit is the most important, and we will see why later. Moving on to BM, Endurance Training. So health of your pet by 10% and your by 5%. This is amazing because, often your pets will take damage, huge spikes of damage when you are AoEing, or when you're not able to heal them because if you do, you aggro. So having pet HP and pet damage resistance and armor and abilities is a huge buffer for these first moments when you cannot really overheal whatever you're doing. Armor speaks for itself. 2% damage caused by you, and while your pet is active, the critical strike chance of your pet's special abilities is increased by 20% while kill command is active. So this is great for Thunderstomp. Pathfinding is the beast talent because it gives you more speed on your speed aspects, but also increases your mounted speed by 10%. It's amazing not only for farming to have this second spec, but also you are able to basically outrun trash packs. For example, in AQ20, you can just run through the first sections and basically kite the mobs there. If you don't have this one, they catch up to you, they stun you, they slow you, it's ugly. Aspect mastery, more damage when you are in Dragonhawk, 5% less damage when you are in Dragonhawk as well, and when you are on Viper, you do, you have 10% less damage that you're doing. So basically 10% more damage, or around that. Unleash Fury, in this specific build, I only take 2, but if you have any extra point, this is where you would put them here and actually on improvement pet. We'll get there later. But basically, each point on here increases the damage of your pet by 3%, which is also damage on your bad attitude, which is aggro on your pet, which is more healing that you can do. Improvement pet, this is one of the staples of the build. They changed it from classic, so with just 1 point, you get 25% chance of removing curse, disease, magic, and poison. With 2 out of 2, you only get 50%. So if you want to play around, this is definitely a very good talent to put point in. It also reduces mana cost of your mind pet spell, but that's not really an issue. It only costs 400, which is basically 1 attack with aspect of the Viper. Having 2 points here is good, for example, on I forget the name. So if we go to Molten Core, I'm in TBC. On Gaennas, because she curses your pet to be healed for I think 50% less or even more. So you basically need to keep up man pet so that you can decurse it as soon as possible. And 50% is better than 25%. Ferocity, critical strength chance of your pet by 10% is just pure damage. Bestial Discipline is amazing with 100% increased focus regeneration. Your pet basically has infinite focus. So with these 2 points, you absolutely do not need to take Go for the Throat. You can be in feign death, whatever. Your pet will have infinite focus. Intimidation, of course, most bosses are immune to the stun, but you need to take it for the chain of talents below. Spirit Bond, with 2 points, you and your pet regenerate 2% of your total health every 10 seconds. This is good mostly for the heals on you. On long fights, just getting that tick, that 10%, that 2% tick every 10 seconds saves you. The healing of the pet is quite terrible. Just to give you some comparison, on a pet which has, I think, 17k HP, it's only 36 healing per second. So it's really, really quite terrible. Silverback, the talent that heals on Growl, the pet talent, does the same. But to give you a comparison, so this is only 36 healing per second. Man pet heals for 654. And since the pet talent healing increase, which is Blood of the Rhino, increase the healing effects on your pet by 40%, also works on tier 5. If you are doing 3.1 kDPS with tier 5, you get the same healing as man pet, so 754. If you're doing AoE and you're doing, I don't know, grenade or sapper, and then explosive shot and volley, and you're doing, I don't know, 15, 20k healing, like you're basically DPS, you basically have infinite healing. Moving on, so again, this is great for healing on yourself. It's basically useless for healing on your pet. Frenzy, this might be the most useless talent, so I'm actually considering, if I keep this spec, which I might not, I'm considering just removing points from Frenzy and putting them in Unleashed Fury and Improvement Pet. I actually, if you're inexperienced and you're watching this video, I actually suggest to maybe do this switch. So -3 from Frenzy and Unleashed Fury and Man Pet. Animal Handler, 5% pet attack power. It's great, more damage. You're not going to for 2 here because other stuff is more useful. Bestial Wrath, a no-brainer. Cat-like reflexes, more avoidance on your pet, but mostly 30 seconds less cooldown on your kill command, which is the biggest benefit of this. Ferocious Inspiration, more damage to Arcane Shot and Steady Shot, and you will Steady Shot a lot because you don't really have any other damage abilities with this build except for Arcane Shot and Multi-Shot. So 9% damage on Steady and Arcane is very, very good. And also 3% more damage ride wide, which you don't use. Gonna skip invigoration for now. We have, of course, a beast within. You are affected by your bestial wrath. We have serpent swiftness, which gives you 20% attack speed and also pet attack speed, but we don't care about that. And here we have the second piece of the build because you have 20% more attack speed. From marksmanship, you have 5% more crit. So this means, these two talents means more crits for the hunter. And whenever you crit with arcane shot, steady shot, or kill shot, the pet next to special attacks will critically hit. So, you're spamming arcane, you're spamming steady, you're spamming kill shot, you crit, your pet crits twice with mostly bite, and then the final piece, invigoration. So whenever the pet scores a critical hit with a special ability, you regenerate 1% mana. The fights are long when you're doing, bosses with 800k HP, 1.2 million HP. So you will be aspect weaving a lot, and this feedback loop allows you to actually have mana to pump out multi-shot, kill shot, mend pet, arcane shot, whatever. So this is the main feedback loop that you need to not just be stuck in aspect of the Viper. Longevity, less cooldown to Bestial Wrath, which is amazing because with this Bestial Wrath only has 1.17 minute cooldown, which makes it basically closer to the cooldown of your other abilities, mostly the range from your gloves, and also, overall it's good synergy. And also, of course, removes cooldown from, for example, bad attitude, from thunderstomp, from bite. Sorry, not from bite, from bad attitude, from thunderstomp, from cower. It's really, really great. Kindred Spirit, 20% more damage to the pet. Again, it's amazing due to the bad attitude strategy that we were talking about. And increases movement speed by 10%. This allows you to kite mechanics without needing to switch to aspect of the cheetah. And finally, Beast Mastery. We don't really use exotic pets at all. Wolves are beasts for damage, and for tanking, we have turtles, we have crocodiles, but the 4 additional skill points for the pets are where the value really is. This is a spec regarding glyphs. The 3 minor ones are the one that you already use for PvE, so Glyph of Feign Death, Glyph of Mend Pet, and Glyph of Revive Pet. Regarding the 3 major ones, here you can play around. I would definitely have Glyph of Bestial Wrath, which is further 20% reduction to the cooldown, which again allows you to align it more with the haste from your gloves. The other 2, I'm using Glyph of Mending, so 40% more healing done by Mend Pet, self-explanatory. And the last one is Glyph of Volley, 20% less mana cost for Volley. Why? Because volley, again, especially with a croc and bad attitude, is you can consider it a healing ability. Pet does aggro, you volley, you're able to not over aggro, and the damage you do is converted through the tier 5 into healing done. I mostly use volley this way on Gar, on Magmadar, and on Sulfuron. On Sulfuron, you need to the ads while keeping the pet alive, and so you volley a lot. And this again allows you to not switch so often to aspect of the Viper. Something else that you can take here, I mean, Glyph of Disengage is great, Explosive Trap is great, but I think volley is the most versatile glyph that you can have here. And that's it. I hope this answers most of the questions that you have about my build. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. I will try to answer to the best of my knowledge and abilities. Thank you. Bye bye.